This is going to be called Unclean Sorcery, which is funny because there's no such thing as clean sorcery. The other one I was thinking is maybe abominable magic, but that's the same thing. There is no such thing as unabominable magic. I read from the Institute for Scripture Research, the ISR, because it takes a direct translation from Hebrew to English, Greek to English, and Aramaic to English. Yah is the Elohim of the heavens and the earth, the first and the last and the only, and he's an extremely jealous El. He's so jealous that he doesn't even want the names of idols or mighty ones to come to our lips. And Yah is short for Yahweh, Yahweh, Yod He Vav He. It's like saying Dan, Daniel, Daniel with an E. What is the difference and does matter is when people say that Phil, Bob, Sam, and Aaron are the same name when no they're not, and no one in their right mind would ever believe that, and only a fool would believe that a hammer could force its creator to do anything. And there was no letter J in the Hebrew, Greek, or Aramaic text because the letter J is about 600 years old, while the son of Elohim, Yahoshua, died on a stake for the sins of all of humanity over 2,000 years ago. And a direct translation from Hebrew to English, Yahoshua is Joshua, and I strongly believe that the son of Elohim's name, Yahoshua, means Yahweh is salvation. For all those people who don't believe that there was ever Yahoshua, if you go back to Genesis 1:26 to 27, you'll be proven viciously wrong, because even Yahweh says our image. Let's make something in our image, not my image, our image. And you don't say our unless there's more than one of you. Slap in the face. Not physically. I wouldn't physically just slap you in the face after saying that. That would just be weird, in my opinion. Yeah, I'm going to do sorcery magic first and then unclean abomination after, but they're really closely tied to each other, so that's why I'm going to do them in the same video. I've got two other studies that are similar that I'm going to also put together. Well, they are put together. There's like 2 pages per, I guess you could call it a study, but I've already studied it and that's why I'm just sharing it. But it's good to look it up yourself and read it yourself and not just take my word for it. As I've been telling the world, always research for yourself. Someone else went through 3 years of studying, don't worry about it. Go through 3 years worth of studying just to find out if they even were telling you the truth. Anyways, Leviticus 19:26 is where we'll start, and we'll do the sorcery magic one first, and then the unclean abomination one next. Only because unclean abomination has Leviticus 11, the full thing of Leviticus 11, 1 to 47, so I'm going to do that last. Leviticus 19:26. Do not eat meat, in fancy English, meat, so talking about the actual meat that you're allowed to eat. Do not eat meat with the blood. Do not practice divination or magic. Which is another reason I put them together, because that's talking about unclean meats and it's telling you not to practice magic. Genesis 41:8. Genesis 41:8. 41:8. And it came to be in the morning that his spirit was moved, and he sent and called for all the magicians of Mitzrayim and all its wise men, and Pharaoh related to them his dreams, but there was no one who could interpret them for Pharaoh. None of the magicians were able to do it for Pharaoh, but yet, what's his name again? Yosef interpreted them, because Yosef was hearing it from Yahweh, not from some demonic spirit. Exodus 8:7. Oh, praise Yahweh! I literally flipped to it. 8:7. And the magicians did so with their magic and brought up frogs in the land of Mitzrayim. So if we go back one, so Aaron stretched out his hand over the waters of Mitzrayim, and the frogs came up and covered the land of Mitzrayim, and the magicians did so with their magic and brought up frogs in the land of Mitzrayim. Remember that YahWeh says that there will be many pretenders and people who can do signs and works, and in the end they're just pretenders and deceivers following evil. And of course they can do certain things, but when they laid down their rod to be or their staff to be a snake, oh, this is a totally different one that I'm talking about. But anyways, Moshe threw down his. It's either Moshe or Aaron, because they went together. Either one of them threw down a staff, and it swallowed the other snake staff. And the one that did the swallowing was from YahWeh, and the one that got swallowed was from man, the magicians of men. 2 Corinthians 11:13-5. 2 Corinthians 2 Corinthians 11:13-15. For such are false emissaries, emissaries, deceptive workers, masquerading as emissaries of Messiah, and no wonder, for Satan himself masquerades as a messenger of light. It is not surprising then if his servants also masquerade as servants of righteousness, whose end shall be according to their works. 1 Samuel 28:7-20. 1 Samuel 2:20. That's Deuteronomy. What? It just told me that that's where it was going to be. Did I misread that? 280. Why did I think 220? 1 Samuel. Still in 1 Samuel. I was like, I'll just switch a few pages. Oh, still in 1 Samuel? Okay. So we need to go to... 1 Samuel. We need to stay in 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel 28:7-20. Shaul, Sha', then said to his servants, Find me a woman who is a medium to go to her and inquire of her. And his servants said to him, Look, there is a woman who is a medium at N-E with a half a check mark, N, and then Dor is D-O-R. And Shaul disguised himself and put on other garments and went, he and 2 men with him. And they came to the woman by night, and he said, Please divine for me and bring up for me the one I shall name. But the woman said to him, Look, you know what Shaul has done, how he has cut off the mediums and the spiritists from the land. Yeah, when he was doing YahWeh's will, but now he's just turned into completely evil. He's let the power get to his head. Why then do you lay a snare for my life to put me to death? And Shaul swore to her by YahWeh, saying, As YahWeh lives, no punishment comes upon you for this matter. And the woman said, Whom do I bring up for you? So he said, Bring up Shemuel, Shemu, apostrophe E with a half a check mark, L, for me. And when the woman saw Shemuel, she cried out with a loud voice, and the woman spoke to Shaul, saying, Why have you deceived me? You yourself are Shaul. And the sovereign said to her, Do not be afraid. What did you see? And the woman said to Shaul, I saw a spirit coming up out of the earth. And he said to her, What is his form? And he said, An old man is coming up, and he is covered with a mantle. And Shaul knew that this was Shemuel, and he bowed with his face to the ground and did obeisance. And Shemuel said to Shaul, Why have you disturbed me by bringing me up? And Shaul answered, I am deeply distressed, for the Philistines are fighting against me, and Elohim has turned aside from me and does not answer me any more, neither by prophets nor by dreams. So I have called you to reveal to me what I should do. Then Shemuel said, And why do you ask me, seeing YahWeh has turned aside from you and has become your enemy? And YahWeh has done for himself as he spoke by me. And for YahWeh has torn the rein out of your hand and given it to your neighbor, to David, Dawid, with a line underneath of it, because you did not obey the voice of YahWeh, nor execute his burning wrath upon Amalek, Amale, with a half a check mark Q. Therefore YahWeh has done this matter to you today. Further, YahWeh also gives Yisrael, Yisra, with a half a check mark L, with you into the hand of the Philistines, and tomorrow you and your sons are with me. YahWeh also gives the army of Israel into the hand of the Philistines. And immediately Shaul fell on the ground with his complete length, and greatly feared because of the words of Shemuel, and there was no strength in him, for he had eaten no food all day or all night. So he had to turn to the evil wickedness because he was evil and wicked. And he didn't think there was anything wrong with that because he was evil and wicked. 1 Corinthians 10:18-22. First Corinthians. First Corinthians 10:18-22. 10:18-22. Look at Israel after the flesh. Are not those who eat of the slaughterings sharers in the slaughter place? What then do I say? That an idol is of any value, in fancy English, value as if it's any real, anything like YahWeh, which it's not, or that which is slaughtered to idols is of any value, again, fancy English, value? No, but what the nations slaughter, they slaughter to demons and not to Elohim. And I do not wish you to become sharers with demons. You were not able to drink the cup of the master and the cup of demons. You were not able to partake of the table of the master and of the table of demons. Just let me check myself here. Okay, yeah. Do we provoke the master to jealousy? Are we stronger than he? No, we are not stronger than he. Sorry, I touched your tail, Tommy. 2 Corinthians 6:14-16. No, woo. 2 Corinthians 6:14-16. Do not become unevenly yoked with unbelievers, for what partnership has righteousness and lawlessness? And what fellowship has light with darkness? And what agreement has Messiah with Belial, the rapist family? If you don't know what that is, go back and read YahWeh's word, or listen to my videos, stuff like that. It's old first writings. Beliya'. And what agreement has Messiah with Belial? Or what part does a believer have with an unbeliever? And what union has the dwelling place of Elohim with idols? For you are a dwelling place of the living Elohim, as Elohim has said, I shall dwell in them and walk among them, and I shall be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. YahWeh 26:12. Deuteronomy 4:15-24. Deuteronomy 4. Deuteronomy 4:15. Here we go. 15 to 24. Therefore, diligently guard yourselves, for you saw no form when Yahweh spoke to you at Horeb, H with a dot, O-R, E with a half a check mark, B with a line underneath of it, out of the midst of the fire, lest you should do corruptly, and shall make for yourselves a carved image in the form of any figure, the likeness of male or female, the likeness of any beast that is on the earth, or the likeness of any winged bird that flies in the heavens, the likeness of any creature that creeps on the ground, or the likeness of any fish that is in the water under the earth, and lest you lift up your eyes to the heavens, and shall see the sun and the moon and the stars, all the host of the heavens, and you be drawn away into bowing down to them and serving them, which Yahweh your Elohim has allotted to all the people under all the heavens. For all the heavens. But Yahweh has taken you and brought you out of the iron furnace, out of Mitzrayim, to be his people, an inheritance as it is today. And Yahweh was enraged with me because of your words, and swore that I would not pass over the Yarden, Y-A-R-D-E with a half a check mark, N, and that I would not enter the good land which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you as an inheritance, for I am to die in this land. I am not passing over the Yarden, but you are passing over, and shall pass that good land. Guard yourselves, lest you forget the covenant of Yahweh your Elohim, which he made for you, or which he made with you, and shall make for yourselves a carved image. And shall make for yourselves a carved image in any form as Yahweh your Elohim has commanded you. Like, not to do that. Lest you forget the covenant he made with you, and to make an image, even though he just told you not to. For Yahweh your Elohim is a consuming fire, a jealous L. E with a half a check mark L. A jealous L. Deuteronomy 32:16-19. And I would be pretty jealous too if I had created something and then it just started worshiping something else it created. That would bug me. 32. Mind you, I don't think I could ever actually create something. And if I did actually create something, I would pray to Yahweh that it worships Yahweh. 32. There we go. 32:16-19. They moved him to jealousy with strange matters, fancy English matters, with abominations they provoked him, they slaughtered to demons, not Eloah, E-L-O-A-H, mighty ones they did not know, new ones they who came lately, which your fathers did not fear. You neglected the rock, R-O-C-K, capital R, talking about Yahoshua. You neglected the rock who brought you forth, and forgot the El who fathered you. El, talking about Yahweh. You neglected the rock who brought you forth, and forgot the El who fathered you. And Yahweh saw and despised because of the provocation of his sons and his daughters, and he said, let me hide my face from them. Let me see that their end is... 19. I read too far. Because of the provocation of his sons and his daughters is where that ends. 2 Thessalonians 2:7-12. 2 Thessalonians 1155. 1155. Second Thessalonians 2:7-12. For the secret of lawlessness is already at work, only until he who now restrains comes out of the midst. And when the lawless one shall be revealed, whom the master shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, Isaiah 11:4, and bring to naught NAUGHT with the manifestation of his coming. The coming of the lawless one is according to the working of Satan, with all power and signs and wonders of falsehood, and with all deceit of unrighteousness, in those perishing, because they did not receive the love of the truth in order for them to be saved. And for this reason Elohim sends them a working of delusion, for them to believe the falsehood, in order that all should be judged who did not believe the truth, but have delighted in the unrighteousness. I'm just going to read a little bit further. But we ought to give thanks to Elohim always for you, brothers, beloved by the Master, because Elohim from the beginning chose you to be saved in set apartness of spirit and belief in the truth, until which he called you by our good news for the obtaining of the esteem of our Master Yahoshua Messiah. Well, amen to that. Isaiah, this is going to be unclean abomination. Isaiah 65, 2-4. Isaiah 65. 65, 2-4. 65, 2. I have held out my hands all day long to a stubborn people who walk in a way that is not good, after their own thoughts, the people who provoke me continually to my face, who slaughter in gardens and burn incense on slaughter places of brick, who sit among the burial sites and spend the night in secret places, who eat flesh of pigs and the broth of unclean meats, talking about what you can eat and can't eat, is in their pots, who say, 2-4. Oh, that's not even the end of the sentence. Okay. Who say, keep to yourself, do not come near me, for I am set apart to you. These are smoke in my nostrils, a fire that burns all day. I'll read the longest one last. Isaiah 66, 3. But whoever slays the bull strikes the man, whoever slaughters the lamb breaks a dog's neck, whoever brings a grain offering, pig's blood, whoever burns incense blesses an idol. Indeed, they have chosen their own ways, and their being delights in their abominations. Isaiah 52, 11. 52:11. Turn aside, come out from there, touch not the unclean, come out of her midst, be clean, you who bear the vessels of YahWeh. Second Corinthians 6:17. 6:17. It's Chronicles. Second Corinthians 6:17. 6:17. Therefore come out from among them and be separate as YahWeh, and do not touch what is unclean, and I shall receive you. Isaiah 52:11. And I shall be a father to you, and you shall be sons and daughters to me, says Yahweh the Almighty. Isaiah 43:6 and Hosea 1:10. The last one, Leviticus 11:1-47. It's the whole chapter of Leviticus. Numbers, Leviticus 11. Leviticus 11. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, Mosheh, and to Aaron, Aaron, saying to them, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, These are the living creatures which you do eat among all the beasts that are on the earth. Whatever has a split hoof completely divided, chewing the cud among the beasts that you do eat, only these you do not eat among those that chew the cud, or those that have a split hoof, the camel, because it chews the cud, but does not have a split hoof, it is unclean to you. And the rabbit, because it chews the cud, but does not have a split hoof, it is unclean to you. And the hare, because it chews the cud, but does not have a split hoof, is unclean to you. And the pig, though it has a split hoof completely divided, yet does not chew the cud, it is unclean to you. Their flesh you do not eat, and their carcasses you do not touch, they are unclean to you. These you do eat of all that are in the waters, any one that has fins and scales in the waters, in the seas, or in the rivers, that you do eat. But all that have not fins and scales, they have to have both, in the seas and in the rivers, all that move in the waters, or any living being which is in the waters, they are an abomination to you. They are an abomination to you. Of their flesh you do not eat, and their carcasses you abominate. All that have not fins or scales in the waters are an abomination to you, and these you do not abominate. And these you do abominate among the birds. They are not eaten. They are an abomination: the eagle and the vulture and the black vulture and the hawk and the falcon after its kind, every raven after its kind, and the ostrich and the nighthawk and the seagull and the hawk after its kind, and the little owl and the fisher owl and the great owl and the white owl and the pelican and the carrion vulture, Carrion, and the stork and the heron after its kind, and the hoopoe, Hoopoe, and the bat. All flying insects that creep on all fours is an abomination to you. Only these you do eat of every flying insect that creeps on all fours, those which have joint legs above their feet with which to leap on the earth. These of them you do eat: the the Arba locust, Arbeh locust, after its kind, and the Solam locust after its kind, Solam, after its kind, and the Hargol locust, Argol locust after its kind, and the Hagab, Agab with a line underneath of it, locust after its kind. But all the flying insects which have 4 feet are an abomination to you, and by these you are made unclean. Anyone touching the carcass of any of them is unclean until evening, and anyone picking up part of the carcass of any of them has to wash his garments, and shall be unclean until evening. Every beast that has a split hoof not completely divided, or does not chew the cud, is unclean to you. Anyone who touches their carcass is unclean. And whatever goes on its paws among all the creatures that go on all fours, those are unclean to you. Anyone who touches their carcass is unclean until evening, and he who picks up their carcass has to wash his garments, and shall be unclean until evening. They are unclean to you. And these are unclean to you among the creeping creatures that creep on the earth: the mole and the mouse and the tortoise after its kind, and the gecko and the land crocodile and the sand reptile and the sand lizard and the chameleon. These are unclean to you among all that creep. Anyone who touches them when they are dead becomes unclean until evening, and whatever any of them in and whatever any of them in its dead state falls upon becomes unclean, whether it is any wooden object or garment or skin or sack, any object in which work is done, it is put in water, and it shall be unclean until evening, then it shall be clean. Any earthen vessels into which any of them falls, whatever it is in it becomes unclean, and you break it. Any of the wood which might be eaten, on which water comes, becomes unclean. Any of the food which might be eaten, on which water comes, becomes unclean, and any drink which might be drunk from it becomes unclean, and on whatever any of their carcasses becomes unclean. An oven or cooking range, it is broken down, they are unclean, and are unclean to you. By a fountain or a well, a collection of water is clean, but whatever touches their carcass is unclean. And it makes sense with wood because things leach into the wood. And when any of their carcass falls on any planting seed which is to be sown, it is clean. But when any water is put on the seed, and any part of any such carcass falls on it, it is unclean to you. And when any of the beasts which are yours for food dies, he who touches its carcass becomes unclean until evening, and he who eats of its carcass has to wash his garments, and shall be unclean until evening, and he who picks up its carcass has to wash his garments, and shall be unclean until evening. And every swarming creature, the one that swarms on the earth, is an abomination, it is not eaten. Whatever crawls on its stomach, and whatever goes on all fours, fancy English, all fours, and whatever has many feet among all swarming creatures, the ones swarming on the earth, these you do not eat, for they are an abomination. Do not make yourselves an abomination. Do not make yourselves abominable with any swarming creature, the ones swarming, and do not make yourselves unclean with them, lest you be defiled by them. For I am YahWeh your Elohim, and you shall set yourselves apart, and you shall be set apart, for I am set apart. And do not defile yourselves with any swarming creature, the one creeping on the earth, for I am YahWeh who is bringing you up out of the land of Mitzrayim to be your Elohim, and you shall be set apart, for I am set apart. This is the Torah of the beasts and the birds and every living being, the creeping creature in the waters, and of every being that swarms on the earth, to make a distinction between the unclean and the clean, and between the living creature that is eaten, the living creature, fancy English, creature that is eaten, and the living creature, again fancy English, that is not eaten. Amen.